The axe split the wood with a satisfying crack. Elara wiped sweat from her brow and reached for another log when Kieran's scream pierced the evening air. She dropped everything and ran. Her 6-year-old son stood frozen at the cottage door, his small frame trembling as he pointed toward the tree line. Shadows moved between the pines, too large to be deer, too deliberate to be anything natural. Elara's heart hammered against her ribs. She grabbed Kieran's arm and yanked him inside, slamming the door and throwing the bolt. The cottage suddenly felt fragile, its wooden walls no match for whatever lurked outside. "Mama, what are they?" Kieran's voice cracked with terror. Before she could answer, something massive collided with the door. The hinges groaned. Another impact followed, then another. Wood splintered. Elara seized the iron poker from the hearth and shoved Kieran toward the root cellar. "Hide," she commanded. "Don't come out no matter what you hear." "But Mama." "Go." The door exploded inward. A creature that was neither fully wolf nor fully man crashed through, its eyes gleaming red in the firelight. 2 more followed, their bodies rippling with unnatural muscle, their faces twisted into something nightmarish. Elara swung the poker with all her strength. It connected with the lead creature's skull with a sickening thud, but the thing barely flinched. A clawed hand backhanded her across the room. She slammed into the table, stars exploding across her vision. "Where is the boy?" The creature's voice was gravel scraping stone, barely human. Elara spat blood. "Go to hell." Pain erupted across her ribs as another creature kicked her. She curled into herself, gasping, but kept her eyes fixed on the cellar door. "Stay hidden, Kieran. Please stay hidden." The leader, a massive brute with scars crisscrossing his face, grabbed her by the throat and lifted her off the ground. "Dravik wants the Shadowwolf whelp. Tell me where he is and I'll make your death quick." "Never," Elara choked out. He threw her against the wall. Something cracked in her shoulder. The world swam, sounds becoming muffled and distant. Through the haze of pain, she saw one of the creatures prowling toward the cellar door. No, not Kieran, not her baby. She tried to rise, but her body wouldn't cooperate. Blood pooled warm beneath her. The creature reached for the cellar door handle. Then she heard it. A sound that didn't belong. A whimper from inside the cellar that made every hair on her body stand on end. The creatures heard it too. They turned as one toward the cellar, lips peeling back from elongated fangs. The door burst open, but not from the outside. Kieran stumbled out, his face contorted in agony. His eyes, those familiar brown eyes, blazed gold. His fingers curved into claws, bones cracking and reshaping. He opened his mouth to scream, and what came out was something between a child's cry and a wolf's howl. Raw power exploded from her son. The nearest creature flew backward, crashing through the already broken door. Kieran collapsed unconscious before he hit the floor. The scarred leader snarled and lunged for the boy. Elara screamed, helpless to stop him. But a blur of silver and black intercepted, hitting the creature with the force of a battering ram. The newcomer was enormous. A wolf the size of a horse with midnight fur and eyes like molten amber. The wolf moved with brutal efficiency, tearing through Dravik's men with savage precision. Screams filled the cottage. Blood painted the walls. In less than a minute, the 3 creatures lay still, their bodies already beginning to dissolve into ash. The massive wolf turned toward Kieran. Elara tried to crawl to her son, tried to put herself between him and this new threat, but her broken body betrayed her. Darkness crept in at the edges of her vision. The wolf shimmered, its form rippling like water. In its place stood a man, tall and broad-shouldered, with the same amber eyes. He knelt beside Kieran, placing a hand gently on the boy's chest. "The bloodline lives," he murmured, wonder in his voice. Then his gaze shifted to Elara. "You're safe now. Both of you." Elara's vision blurred. The last thing she saw before unconsciousness claimed her was the stranger lifting Kieran into his arms with surprising tenderness. Then everything went black. Pain dragged her back to consciousness. Everything hurt, a bone-deep ache that made breathing agony. Elara's eyes fluttered open to unfamiliar stone walls lit by oil lamps. She tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. "Easy." A woman's weathered hand pressed her back down. "You've been out for 3 days. Your body needs rest." "Kieran," Elara's voice came out as a rasp. "The boy is safe. sleeping in the next room. The woman had kind eyes set in a face mapped with wrinkles. I'm Marin, the pack healer. You're an Iron Peak. Pack. The word sent ice through Elara's veins. What are you? The better question is, what are you, child? Marin's gaze was shrewd. But that conversation can wait until you're stronger. Rest now. But Elara couldn't rest. Her mind raced with questions, with the impossible image of her gentle son's eyes burning gold, his fingers becoming claws, with the memory of a wolf becoming a man. She needed answers. She needed to see Kieran with her own eyes, to hold him and know he was truly safe. The door opened and Kieran rushed in. Relief flooded through Elara as she pulled him into her arms, ignoring the sharp protests from her ribs. He was warm and solid and alive. Mama, you're awake. He hugged her fiercely, then pulled back, his expression troubled. I didn't mean to. I don't know what happened. I just got so scared and then everything hurt and… Sure, it's all right. Elara smoothed his hair, her heart breaking at the fear in his eyes. You didn't do anything wrong. But I did something. Something bad. My hands changed and I felt different inside, like something else was trying to get out. Tears streaked his face. Am I a monster? No. Elara cupped his face. You're my son. Nothing changes that. The man from the cottage appeared in the doorway. Up close and in proper light, he was striking, with sharp features and those unsettling amber eyes. He moved with predatory grace, every gesture controlled and purposeful. Kieran, give us a moment, he said, his voice surprisingly gentle. The boy hesitated, looking to Elara. She nodded, and he reluctantly left, casting worried glances over his shoulder. The stranger pulled a chair beside the bed and sat. My name is Thorne. I'm the Alpha King of Silvercrest, and I need to tell you about your husband. Aldrich is dead. The word still tasted bitter even after 2 years. Yes, but not everything about him died with him. Thorne leaned forward. Aldrich was my cousin. His birth name was Aldrich Shadowpaw, the last son of an ancient bloodline. He abandoned his wolf to live as a human, to protect you and Kieran from enemies who would hunt you. Elara stared at him. That's insane. Aldrich was a farmer. A simple, kind man who loved you enough to sacrifice everything he was. Thorne's expression softened. He gave up his pack, his power, his very nature to keep you safe. But blood runs true. The wolf passed to your son. You're saying Kieran is like you? Like those things that attacked us? Not like them. Better than them. Kieran is Shadowwolf, the rarest and most powerful bloodline. That's why Dravik hunts him. He wants to eliminate the line before Kieran can claim his full strength. Elara's head spun. None of this made sense. Aldrich, her gentle husband who sang to the crops and read stories to Kieran, had been some kind of magical wolf creature? It was madness. But she'd seen Kieran's eyes turn gold. She'd watched a wolf become a man. Reality had already shattered. What did one more impossibility matter? What happens now? Her voice sounded hollow even to her own ears. Now you stay here where it's safe. Iron Peak is fortified and guarded. Dravik won't dare attack directly. Thorne stood. Kieran will need training to control his wolf. I'll teach him myself. And me. Something flickered across Thorne's face, an expression she couldn't quite read. Marin will examine you when you're stronger. Rest now. He left before she could press further. Elara lay back, exhaustion pulling at her despite the questions burning in her mind. Outside the window, wolves howled in the distance. The sound should have terrified her. Instead, it felt almost familiar, like a half-remembered dream. Days blurred together. Her body healed with startling speed, the broken bones knitting faster than should be possible. Marin attributed it to good care, but her eyes held secrets. Elara watched from the fortress walls as Thorne trained Kieran in the courtyard below. Her son laughed as he wrestled with other wolf children, their game turning seamlessly from human to lupin forms and back. He looked happy, more alive than he'd been since Aldrich died. Your boy has strong instincts. Marin appeared beside her, carrying a basket of herbs. The wolf in him is young but fierce. Will he be safe here? Safer than anywhere else. Marin studied her with those knowing eyes. But safety isn't what troubles you, is it? Elara looked away. I don't belong here. These people, this world, it's all so foreign. Kieran fits like he was born to it, but me? I'm just human. Are you? Maren set down her basket. Come with me. It's time you learned the full truth. They descended into the depths of Iron Peak, down spiral stairs that seemed to go on forever. The air grew cool and damp. Finally, they emerged into a chamber lit by blue-green phosphorescence. A pool of water occupied the center, its surface mirror still and glowing with inner light. The moon pool, Maren said, where we commune with our ancestors and discover our true nature. She turned to Elara. Give me your hand. Elara hesitated, then extended her arm. Maren drew a small knife across her palm. Blood welled up, crimson against pale skin. The healer let 3 drops fall into the pool. The water exploded with light. Images swirled in the depths, faces of people Elara had never seen but somehow recognized. Strong features, proud bearing, and eyes that shifted between human and lupin. The visions intensified, showing a woman with silver hair standing before an enormous pack, power radiating from her like heat. What is this? Elara breathed. Your grandmother's grandmother, and her mother before her. Maren's voice held reverence. You carry Shadowwolf blood, Elara. Dormant but present. That's why Aldrich could bond with you, why Kieran's wolf is so powerful. You're an anchor. A what? A rare gift. Anchors can strengthen pack bonds, heal connections between wolves, and stabilize those whose control wavers. There hasn't been an anchor in 3 generations. Maren gripped her shoulder. You're precious beyond measure. But the power comes with a price. Elara's hand throbbed where she'd been cut. Heat spread up her arm, not painful but intense. What kind of price? The wolf in you is waking. And once awake, it cannot be denied. That night, fever consumed her. Elara thrashed in her bed, her skin burning as if lit from within. Sounds grew sharper, overwhelming. She could hear conversations 3 floors below, smell the horses in the stable 100 yards away, and feel the pulse of life throughout the fortress like a second heartbeat. Thorne came. She sensed him before he entered, knew the cadence of his breathing, the steady rhythm of his heart. He sat beside her and placed a cool cloth on her forehead. The anchor bond is forming, he said quietly. What does that mean? Elara's voice trembled. When an anchor awakens near a powerful wolf, the bond begins forming whether we will it or not. It's trying to connect us, to stabilize through me. Thorne's jaw tightened. But incomplete bonds are dangerous. They drain the anchor, feeding power into a connection that has no foundation. How do I stop it? You don't. You either complete the bond or... He trailed off. Or what? Or the bond kills you trying to form itself. Terror spiked through her fever. Then complete it. Whatever that means, just do it. It's not that simple. A completed bond means becoming pack, becoming wolf. It means accepting me as your mate. His amber eyes held hers. I won't force that choice on you. Elara laughed, the sound bitter. Some choice. Bond with you or die. There's always a choice. Thorne stood. The blood moon rises in 3 days. That's when your wolf will demand to emerge. Until then, think carefully about what you want. He left her alone with her fevered thoughts and the growing certainty that her old life was gone forever. The woman who chopped wood and tended gardens and mourned a simple farmer had died in that cottage. What remained was something new, something frightening, something powerful. The next day, Elara forced herself from bed despite Maren's protests. She found Kieran in the training yard, his small form locked in concentration as Thorne demonstrated defensive stances. Keep your weight centered, Thorne instructed. When you shift, you'll be stronger but less stable at first. Balance is everything. Kieran tried to copy the movement, stumbled, then grinned and tried again. The easy affection between them made Elara's chest ache. Thorne had stepped into the role Aldrich left behind with natural grace, and Kieran had accepted him without reservation. Mama! Kieran spotted her and ran over. Did you see? Thorne says I'm getting really good. Maybe next week I can try a full shift. That's wonderful, sweetheart. She hugged him, breathing in his familiar scent now laced with something wilder. Thorne approached more slowly. You shouldn't be up yet. I needed air. Elara met his gaze. And I needed to see my son. Something unspoken passed between them. Kieran looked from one to the other, his young face puzzled but pleased. Are you staying here with us, Mama? Forever. Forever. Such a simple word for such an impossible question. I don't know yet, she answered honestly. Kieran's face fell. But you have to stay. This is where we belong now. Where we're safe. Safe. Yes. But safety had a price, and Elara wasn't sure she was ready to pay it. That evening she walked the fortress walls alone. Iron Peak sprawled below, a small city carved into the mountainside. Wolves moved through the streets in both forms, living and working together with seamless integration. Children played, their laughter punctuated by yips and howls. It was beautiful and terrifying and utterly alien. It overwhelms at first. Thorne appeared beside her, moving with that unnatural silence. The noise, the smells, the constant awareness of the pack around you. Does it get easier? Eventually, it becomes natural. Like breathing. He leaned against the battlement. Aldrich struggled with it too at first. He was born into this world but never quite comfortable in it. That's why he left. Tell me about him. The real him. Thorne was quiet for a long moment. He was kind, gentle. He hated violence, hated the politics of pack life. When he met you, he saw a chance for something different. Something peaceful. His expression softened. He loved you desperately. Enough to cut away a part of himself to be with you. Tears burned Elara's eyes. I never knew. He never told me. He was protecting you. Knowledge is dangerous in our world. The less you knew, the safer you were. Thorne turned to face her fully. But that safety is gone now. Dravik knows about Kieran. He'll never stop hunting him unless we stop Dravik first. How? By becoming strong enough that he doesn't dare. Thorne's hand covered hers on the stone. By completing your transformation. By standing as Alpha Queen beside me, and showing the world that the Shadowwolf line lives. Alpha Queen. The title felt impossible. Too large for someone who'd spent her life in obscurity. I don't know how to be what you need, Elara whispered. You already are. You just don't see it yet. His thumb traced circles on her wrist, sending shivers through her. The woman who faced Dravik's wolves with nothing but an iron poker. The mother who'd die before betraying her son. The anchor who's fighting tooth and nail against a bond that terrifies her. That's strength, Elara. That's everything an Alpha Queen needs to be. The sincerity in his voice cracked something inside her. She'd been so focused on what she'd lost that she hadn't seen what she was becoming. The blood moon, she said. What happens? We go to the moon pool. I'll guide you through your first shift. It will hurt more than anything you've experienced, but I'll be with you every moment. His grip tightened. And when it's done, you'll never be helpless again. Helpless. She'd been helpless in that cottage, broken and bleeding while monsters threatened her child. The memory ignited rage in her chest, hot and fierce. Teach me, Elara demanded. Not just how to shift. Teach me how to fight. How to protect Kieran. How to make Dravik regret he ever came for my family. Thorne smiled, and it was a wild, dangerous thing. Now you're thinking like a wolf. The next 2 days blurred into brutal training. Thorne pushed her hard, teaching her to channel the growing power inside her. Her body responded with startling speed, muscles developing strength that shouldn't be possible, reflexes sharpening beyond human limits. She sparred with pack members, learning to read body language and scent. She studied pack law and hierarchy, absorbing information with unnatural ease. The anchor gift made connections clear, showed her the invisible threads binding the pack together. And through it all, the bond with Thorne grew stronger. She felt him even when they were apart, sensed his moods and intentions. It should have been invasive, but instead it felt right, like a missing piece finally clicking into place. Kieran watched it all with bright eyes. You're different, Mama. Stronger. I'm becoming who I was always meant to be, she told him, and believed it. The night of the blood moon arrived. Elara stood at the moonpool's edge, the crimson light filtering through cracks in the cavern ceiling and painting everything in shades of rust and shadow. Thorne stood beside her, already bare-chested, his skin marked with ancient symbols Merrin had painted. Once it begins, don't fight it, Thorne said. Fighting makes it worse. Let the wolf come. Trust your instincts. Elara nodded, her heart hammering. Merrin had painted the same symbols across her shoulders and arms, each one tingling with latent power. The moonpool's surface rippled despite the still air, responding to the blood moon's pull. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Good. Fear keeps you sharp." Thorne took her hand. "But you're not alone. I'll be right here." The first cramp hit like a fist to her stomach. Elara gasped, doubling over. Heat erupted through her veins, burning away everything human. Her bones began to shift, grinding and reforming. She screamed, the sound echoing off stone walls. "Breathe through it," Thorne urged. "Don't tense up." But the pain was everywhere, consuming. Her spine arched, vertebrae popping and realigning. Her hands contorted, fingers elongating as claws pushed through her fingertips. She fell to her knees, gasping for air that wouldn't come. Thorne knelt beside her, his voice steady in the chaos. "Look at me, Elara. Stay with me." She forced her eyes open. His amber gaze anchored her, gave her something to focus on beyond the agony. His own transformation began, bones shifting with practiced ease. He became the massive black wolf from her cottage, but stayed close, his presence a lifeline. The pain reached a crescendo. Elara's scream turned into a howl as her body completed its metamorphosis. Silver fur rippled across her skin. Her senses exploded outward, overwhelming in their intensity. She could smell everything, hear everything, feel the pulse of life throughout Iron Peak like thunder in her blood. She was a wolf. Power coursed through her, wild and intoxicating. She rose on 4 legs, testing this new form. Everything felt different, sharper, more immediate. The world was alive with scents and sounds she'd never imagined. Thorne pressed his muzzle against hers, a gesture of welcome and recognition. Then he took off running, and instinct drove Elara to follow. They raced through tunnels that opened onto the mountainside. The blood moon hung huge and red overhead, bathing the landscape in crimson light. Elara ran faster than she'd ever moved, her body responding with fluid grace. The wind whipped through her fur, carrying 1,000 stories in its currents. Thorne led her higher, up rocky slopes to a plateau overlooking Iron Peak. Below, the fortress glowed with warm light. Above, stars wheeled in an infinite sky. He circled her slowly, deliberately, and she understood what he was asking. The bond. The final step. Acceptance not just of the wolf but of everything it meant. Pack. Mate. Alpha Queen. Elara circled him in return, their paths creating an ancient pattern. When they met, muzzle to muzzle, she felt the bond snap into place with almost physical force. Golden light exploded around them, bright enough to rival the blood moon. Power flooded through the connection, stabilizing and strengthening. She was whole, complete. For the first time in her life, Elara felt entirely herself. They shifted back to human form, both breathing hard. Thorne cupped her face, his expression raw with emotion. "You're magnificent." Elara kissed him, pouring everything she couldn't say into the gesture. He responded with equal intensity, the mate bond singing between them. When they finally broke apart, she was crying and laughing at once. "I feel everything," she whispered. "The pack, the mountain, you. It's so much. You'll learn to control it. Channel it." Thorne pressed his forehead to hers. "Welcome home, Alpha Queen." The moment was shattered as warning howls rose from Iron Peak. Thorne's head snapped toward the fortress, his body going rigid. Through the bond, Elara felt his alarm spike into fury. "Dravik," he snarled. "He's attacking now while I'm away from the defenses." They shifted and ran, racing down the mountain with desperate speed. Elara's new wolf body responded perfectly, eating up distance with powerful strides. As they approached Iron Peak, she saw the battle raging at the gates. Dravik's forces had come in numbers, dozens of hostile wolves throwing themselves against the defenders. Thorne howled, a sound of pure dominance that made even the attackers hesitate. He crashed into the enemy lines like an avalanche, tearing through wolves with savage efficiency. Elara searched for Kieran through the chaos. There. Her son stood on the inner wall beside Marin, his small face terrified but determined. Relief flooded through Elara, quickly followed by rage as she spotted 3 of Dravik's wolves breaking from the main fight and heading for the wall for Kieran. Her anchor power blazed to life instinctively. The defending wolves near her suddenly fought with renewed strength, their movements faster and more coordinated. She charged the 3 wolves threatening her son, her new strength and fury making her unstoppable. She hit the first wolf like a thunderbolt, sending it tumbling. The second lunged at her, but she twisted aside and caught it by the throat. The third hesitated, recognizing the power radiating from her, then fled. Kieran cheered from the wall. "Mama!" The tide of battle turned quickly, with both Thorne and Elara fighting. The defenders rallied, pushing Dravik's forces back. Then Dravik himself appeared. A massive scarred wolf even larger than Thorne. "The Shadowwolf whelp and his whore mother," Dravik snarled in his gravelly voice. "How touching." Thorne stepped between them, hackles raised. "Leave now, Dravik, and I'll let you live. The Shadowwolf line ends tonight." Dravik lunged. The two alpha wolves collided with earth-shaking force. They fought with brutal intensity, teeth and claws seeking vital targets. Blood stained the ground. Elara wanted to help, but Thorne's command through the bond stopped her. This was alpha business, a challenge that had to be faced alone. But she could help in other ways. Elara focused her anchor power on Thorne, strengthening his connection to the pack, feeding him their combined strength. She felt him recognize the gift, felt his fighting become faster and more precise. Dravik sensed the shift too late. Thorne's jaws closed on his throat, and it was over. Dravik's body went limp, dissolving into ash as his life fled. The remaining attackers scattered immediately, fleeing into the forest. Victory howls rose from the defenders. Thorne shifted to human form, bloodied but triumphant. Elara shifted too and ran to him, checking his wounds with shaking hands. "I'm fine," he assured her. "You did it. Your anchor power turned the fight." Kieran rushed down from the wall and threw himself into their arms. Elara held her son and her mate, overwhelmed with gratitude that they'd survived. Weeks passed in a blur of recovery and celebration. The pack formally recognized Elara as Alpha Queen in a moonpool ceremony attended by hundreds. She stood before them in her silver wolf form, Thorne beside her in black, and felt the weight of their acceptance and devotion. Kieran thrived, his training progressing rapidly under Thorne's guidance. He'd gained a father and a future, his Shadowwolf heritage no longer a curse but a gift to be embraced. Elara stood on Iron Peak's highest tower, watching the sun set over her new kingdom. Thorne joined her, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Any regrets?" he asked. She leaned into him, feeling the bond hum with contentment. "Not a single one." Their journey from widow and orphan to Alpha Queen and Shadowwolf heir was complete. The bloodline lived on, stronger than ever, and together they would face whatever challenges came next. If you enjoyed this story of transformation, power, and finding where you truly belong, please subscribe to see more epic tales. Drop a comment below telling us your favorite moment, and smash that like button to support more stories like this. The Shadowwolf legacy continues, and we want you here for every chapter. Until next time, embrace your inner strength and never stop fighting for those you love.